Thank you all very much. I must say that my head is very, very full with all different kinds of ideas and thoughts and swirling around. And what I do want to do, though, even in this very short time, is go back to the objectives of the meeting and reflect on them and what we've accomplished here over this really extraordinary 2 days, and then for those of us who went to the villages, even over this last 4 days. So the first was to engage with a community of people committed to finding technical solutions for the developing world, and clearly the group here is an extraordinary collection of people who are all extremely knowledgeable and committed and engaged with this. So I'm really delighted we've done that. So definitely a check mark. The second one was to become more acquainted with the needs and challenges of supplying energy in the developing world. And I think that there are a couple of themes that have come up that over and over again, and I know that I'll never forget them, but there are some phrases, affordable excellence, or MLM, more for less for more. That I think is really the key message that we need to take back to our technology developers. The second is that there are really two types of needs in the developing world. One is the meeting the needs of the rapidly growing middle class, and in India we heard 45% of the population falls in this category. And if we look at what we need is, rapid growth of clean and efficient power generation. And second, rapid growth of affordable, clean transportation to meet those needs. The second category, which we talked a lot about, but are only clearly a portion, are meeting the needs of the struggling poor. And clearly here the message to us is that we have to think about meeting immediate needs. So what we heard is power, what we heard is water. And so from an energy perspective, what that could contribute is power to provide this water in an easier, more efficient way, so people didn't need to spend so much time and labor to accomplish that. Another one was lighting, clearly is a priority. And I think also power for enabling income-generating opportunities. If you had lights in the evening, perhaps cottage industries. I think we heard an example of people making saris at night and then selling those into the marketplace. So I think that using this as enabling income-generating opportunities is very important. And then from a technical point of view, I think that very low-cost energy storage. And I was really taken with this idea about basically using water, basically pumped hydro as a storage system, where you'd have a big tank, you'd pump water up that could be used for your water needs, but at nighttime to generate power, if you had some kind of micro turbine, you basically let that water flow back into the well. I thought that was a very cool idea. So thank you for whoever had that. So those are some of the kind of things that I learned in that regard. Moving down the list then, we wanted to share what we're doing at GCEP and get feedback, and we very much appreciate that. Another area, the next, is to identify those areas where breakthroughs would have a really big impact. And there are so many that we've heard today, and of course, they're all great ideas, so I just want to highlight a couple, and that's not to say these are the best or only ideas, but they're the ones that sort of, in the short term, have stuck with me. I think that ultra low cost PV or wind, and, we often hear, parity, grid parity. Well, why grid parity? Well, thinking back to the $24 leg, why not power at half the price of coal-based power? And if that's the technology target, we probably need to think very differently about what we're making, because we know that today that just the installation cost and balance of systems are a significant component. So we need to think in radically new ways if that were our target. Clearly, affordable, very large-scale energy storage is going to be important in the long run. And in the short run, there could be important markets for that. We heard about synthetic biology and the challenges of terrestrial biomass. And so, if we could have synthetic biology to create high productivity biomass on degraded lands with very, very few inputs. And, the dream I like to imagine is this tree that can basically drop little nuts, which basically are the pellets that you'd put into a gasifier or something. And it would just automatically, even in the right form factor, so that all you need to do is, sweep them up off the ground and put them into whatever energy conversion scheme. And then another extremely important one has to do with coal. Coal is the backbone of the energy system in many economies, including the electricity system in the United States. So advanced coal conversion strategies with very low emissions are very, very important to develop. So those are just a short a list of the many that we heard today. And then finally, I'd just like to say a word about collaborative approaches and highlight next steps, particularly looking to ourselves. What we plan to do is take all of the input from this workshop. We'll be writing a workshop report that will basically look at all of the recommendations and ideas. That will be available on our website. Also, we'll be taking all of the videos. You'll notice there are lots of videos and photos. All of that will be on the website. And all of those of you who made presentations who are willing to have them put up on our website, we would be delighted to do that. Certainly all of the GCEP presentations will be available. So, and then also just next steps. I mean, I hope that you, like I, spend time reflecting on the tremendous amount of information that we've heard today. So with that, that brings me to a very important next step, and that is to provide special thanks for the many people who made this possible. And so, starting with the Reliance Foundation, DP Singh, I believe that you're still here. Yes, yes. So could you please come up? We have a small gift for you. Yeah. So DP Singh accompanied us on the trip, and I got the pleasure of riding many hours in the car with him, and it was really a tremendous experience. Also, Nishi Dixit and Mavendra Singh, who I believe are not here. That's correct? Yeah. From Reliance Foundation. Okay. All right. So next, we would like to invite Mickey and Pete. I think you are going to come and help with the thanks here. And Dipesh Jain and Kay and Shobha. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you cannot imagine how much fun and challenging it is to organize a workshop where we're on a 12-hour time zone difference. And I know there were many nights that people were up either very late or very early having conversations and planning this workshop and reaching out to all of you. So thank you so much for this. Okay. So now moving on to special thanks to Ajit Sapre from Reliance Industries and all of you who made this very warm welcome here at the Reliance headquarters. This has been a fantastic venue for this workshop. It's been so comfortable and so conducive to the kind of conversation we've had. I like that we're all really sitting around a table, so that worked really, really wonderfully. Also, these meetings only succeed when we have excellent speakers and when we have a very high degree of engagement of the participants. And all of you were fantastic. You've been so giving of your ideas and your time, and we're very, very appreciative of that. And again, for all of us who've been here, actually, I don't think we had any participants. I think everyone was a discussant. I think, this was a very engaged group, so that's just what we want. And then finally, I'd like to move on to the Reliance and GCEP planning teams. And so from Reliance Industries, Pete Hannock, if you could come up, that would be great. Yeah. And also, I think there are more of you here. Pankaj Mehta, are you here? Yeah? He's not here. Oh, that's right. Okay. And Shwarup Saragan, again, went on the trip with us. Absolutely fantastic. Okay. And then Love Saran, thank you so much. And Jasna Oval, I think, yep, we can come back. Thank you. Okay, so we really are so appreciative. And then to the Stanford GCEP team, I just can't thank you enough. When we have an event like this, there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes, and I have to thank our team. So if you could actually all stand up and come up here, that would be great. We don't have gifts for you. I think maybe I'll treat you to some dessert or something tonight. So, and is Harishi here? Where's Harishi? No? Oh my goodness. Okay, anyway, Richard Sassoon, Lee Johnson, and Mickey Yu. We couldn't have done this without you, and thank you so much for making all of this possible. So. And then finally, a very important special thanks to our GCEP sponsors, and I'm so glad that you could be here to participate in this. ExxonMobil, GE, Schlumberger, and DuPont. Really, all of this is possible because of the extraordinarily generous and far-reaching support that you provide to Stanford University and all of the other universities that are part of this team. So thank you very much. And I'm going to now turn this back over to Ajit Sapre to close the meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. I just have one word for this meeting. That is just wow. I mean, it was just an enriching and amazing experience. And as I was sharing this with Peter, this is our first technical meeting ever, at least organized by Reliance Technology Group. So for us, this was like a new venture, if you will. We even didn't know where to begin and how to do it. And I think you taught us a lot. I think you taught us how to do such things. I'm sure we did not do many things right, probably. But probably we'll learn out of this so that we can do it better next time. From the content and the objectives, I mean, you covered extremely well in terms of what was the task and did we accomplish it and what are the ideas that we could perhaps build on. And probably Homi said it best, I think, is for us to reflect on and for GCEP to look back and say, you know, there was an idea that got planted when I think you invited me. And it wasn't clear to me at that day what exactly should I say, so I'd put some thoughts together. And I didn't realize the Gandhian engineering could be such a big hit. Because we've been talking about it, at least within the context of my company in India for, I would say, at least 5 years, ever since Dr. Mashelkar and C.K. Prahlad started discussing. In fact, C.K. wrote a book on this sort of an idea. And so I must thank Stanford because It's really them who decided that there's something in it that they need to pursue and follow. And I guess, that kind of drives to some of the conclusions and comments I heard. There are ideas which are leads-driven, and there are ideas which are needs-driven. And I think what we heard yesterday was a lot about needs-driven. And a lot of the things that I think some of my colleagues reflected on, the research that gets done is that leads-driven. And at the somewhere at the end, the leads and the needs, when they interact, that's when you create something really beautiful, something very valuable, something that can move the society, that can change the way we do things. So I think the frontiers of science to me are just important, because unless you push the frontiers, you don't know what is beyond. And only when you know what is beyond, then you can think about how is it applied to what the needs may be. So I think you need to work on the needs and the leads, and I think they're the kinds of forum that perhaps where the needs and the leads can come together and then come and lead to some sort of a future direction. Because one of the things we were thinking about was, maybe this will generate conversations. Because to me, the conversations are more important. It may not lead immediately to conclusive next steps, saying A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. A lot of us are in the project mode think that way, because we're about to finish something. That's where we get the joy. But I think for the kinds of problem we need to solve, and if we make a big societal impact, is the leads and the needs had to merge and come together. And I think in my mind, maybe a forum like this, on a different topics, at different events, could bring the right kind of people, right kind of ideas. And maybe that can be boiled down to a few things that could be taken up as a research projects. A few things could be taken up as a project that need to be implemented. A few things that need to be piloted, like he was saying, where we bring the community in. Try out a few things. Since I talked to you about biology, and sort of the century of biology, believe me, it's a century of biology. Nobody talked about this stuff, but that has been in the news for the last 2 weeks. The trees which give light. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe that's what we need. Maybe the synthetic biology that can be done as a really leading edge, cutting edge science. A next generation plant that actually uses the resources like water and sun, but actually gives you light. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Such things are becoming realistic. So why would that be that kind of a technology that could change the world for the rural poor? And I think we need to think through, very differently, what the science is for, what the technology is for, what the project management is for, what the execution is for. And that's why I think probably I did not emphasize this morning. But to me, an inclusive innovation at the end of the day is execution and also creativity. And so we need the science, we need the creativity, and we need the execution. And when you work it together, that's when the magic happens. So my hat's off to Stanford, because I think without you, we will not know even where the frontiers in this area are. And I think knowing those frontiers are just as critical as knowing what the needs are. Because if you don't know the gap, and I always believe there needs to be a creative tension between tomorrow's promise and today's reality. Because if you don't have that creative tension, the human ingenuity will not flourish to create something that's going to be very critical for the society at large. So I think, to me, this was just an enriching experience. It was just fabulous. I never expected this. And to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about this workshop until yesterday when I showed up at 9:30. Because, everything was done by the Reliance team and the Stanford team. So I would like to compliment, and I would like to have this team stand up again. And let's give them a big round of applause. And I would like to recognize everybody who came from Stanford. Please stand up. I think we need to recognize that they came crossing 7 seas just to be with us and give us a few glimpses of what they're working on. And I think this is what actually would make whole variety of collaborations possible. I think, DuPont, we heard about the way in which they're thinking about. GE also had a similar approach. It's something for us in Reliance to think through and say, how do we leverage this knowledge? How do we leverage this energy? How do we leverage this creativity which is out there? And, think outside in, not just inside out. So with that, I want to thank everybody because everyone participated. And actually, to me, it was really remarkable because the first time I saw a meeting where everybody participated and everybody at this table was equal, which is very unusual because in most cases, our culture is somewhat differential. We look at someone else to give us direction or someone else to tell us something. And to me, hats off to every one of you. I really encourage the same spirit and same sort of a courage to open up, speak up your mind. And when you have these conversations, that's only when I think we can create something that's going to make the change. So at the end of the day, we have to change the world. And this is the beginning for changing the world. So thanks again.